let's continue to cut. Cut is a command which you use to extract sections from each line of input. And the syntax from that is cut minus B, which is bytes and the list, minus C, which is characters, and minus F, which is fields. And then it can be separated by a delimiter, which is by default the tab character. And then for minus S and the file. So you need to give a range in each case, and it will be one of n minus m, or n dash, where n is to the end of the line, or minus m to the from the beginning of the line, and 2m on n and m accounted from 1. There's no zeroth value, so the line starts with 1, which is important because in some cases you start by 0 when you start counting in Linux. And if you do minus n in combination with minus b, the bytes, it suppresses splits of multi-byte characters. And minus S bypasses lines which contain no field delimiter when F is specified, unless otherwise indicated. So these are all optional, except the file. So we are going to try and use the directory that we have worked on until now as a source of files that are suitable to run the examples on. And let's try and use the minus B, the bytes flag or options. I'm going to use both of those words interchangeably because that's common to use that. But flags and options is the same. So if you do minus B n, then an n is some number. It will return the first n bytes of a line. So let's try and look at new file and bytes, and then 1. That should give me the first n bytes of a line. And for this case, it's TSSM. And let's just do cat on the file so you can see that is correct. It's TSSM. So it just grabs the first on each of these. If you instead picked 2, you would get the second one. And if you picked 2 to 5, for instance, then you get from 2, 3, 4, and up to 5. And it also counts the space characters, as you can see. And yeah, this is just how the file looks. So let's try and instead use the C flag. And in that case, it's the number of characters. And it should not make a difference in this case here because it is characters. So you can see your output will be the same one. They are adding multi-byte support, and that should give different behavior of the two options in the future. Well, this is just to show you that right now there is actually no difference between them, but they are planning to make differences between those two options, which is why they have two options now. So let's try and do a cut command while using the minus F and the delimiter flag. And let's go up and show what F was. F was fields. And then we will have to put a delimiter here And in this case, space is the delimiter. Default is tab, but here we will use space. And we give that with this. And let's look at the fields 2 to 4. So let's try this. Cut, minus F, and then 2 to 4, minus D, and we're saying that we're going to use space. And then we are looking at this file 8.txt. And let's show the content of this file. You can see it here, or you can also just cat it. This file 8.txt. So you see it cuts from 2 to 4, where it has the delimiter as the space instead. If we then pick a colon instead as the delimiter, we do that here. Say now it's a colon. Then it instead looks at the colons in this line file here. So you can see they are here. So that is why it looks different. And there are some colons here that is then using as the delimiters. Otherwise it used space. So what then if we are still using the colon, but now we are looking at the fields from number 3 field and to the end. Let's try to do that. Minus. And let's see here, so we can see 1, 2, 3. So we have hello, hi there, because it starts here on the 3rd field. And in this one, there was only 1, so there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Here, it took the whole line because there was no delimiter at all in this line. Here there was 1 field, 2 field, 1 field, 2 field. Here you have again nothing, and here again there is a line where there is no delimiter in, so it just takes all of it. So the field is first part up until the delimiter, second part to delimiter, third to delimiter, and so on. If you are using tab and fields 3 to 4, tab is the default. So let's go with that. And you do that by simply not giving a delimiter, because then it's using the default. I wanted to do it from 3 to 4. And I'm going to do clear so you can see what's going on. And then you get this output here. And let's go up and look at how it looks here. I actually made a mistake. But it shouldn't matter. But here you can again go inside of the file and see that it's very much not doing what I wanted it to do. 4, 1. It's because there are no tabs in this one. That's true, I changed it. There were tabs. No, there are no longer any tabs in this file. So of course it's just going to show the lines because it's not dividing it in anything. There needs to be tabs for it to do that. So to use this, you need to use a delimiter that actually exists. So maybe you had a CSV file and your delimiter were commas or colons or something, then you would use that as a delimiter. And this is actually more often used if you have a data file where you have maybe columns or something, that is divided by either spaces or tabs or commas or something, then you could simply grab everything from the third column or for the fourth one, and yeah, there it would be much more useful. And here is also I have a data file that actually I can use to show that. It's this one, data dat. So let's see what's inside of it. I don't know if you can see it down here, so let's do it that way. This is the content of the file data dat. And if you're doing cut on that data file and say I want to cut 2 and 3, and then I'm using a delimiter, which is space, because I have space as delimiter in my data file. So I'm doing that. And then I'm saying data dat. Then I'm getting column 2 and 3. So now this is definitely more useful than grabbing it from a text file, at least in most cases. So I again have some exercises, and I am also out of time, but let's take a few minutes to do the exercises before we have a short break, I think, and then Richelle will take over and continue for today.